Hi everyone, so I'm going to be taking you through Pimp My Ride or Pimp My Bounce. I like Pimp My Ride. We've called it Pimp My Bounce, and this is about taking your Deluxe that you have and changing the chords and making them look and feel like you want them to look and feel. Right? It's also an opportunity, by the way, for many of you out there that have had a Deluxe and you've used it often for the last year or so. This is a great refresh. To refresh those chords, to get that solid bounce back in your rebounder again. So it's both fun, you can personalize it, the colors are amazing. Lisa came in with all these like pastel colors, we've got gold ones, etc. I'm not going to go through the entire range, it's on the website. But what I want to do today is actually give you the tips and tricks of the basics of changing the chords on your Deluxe. How to do it, what to watch out for, just little things, because when you start embarking on changing chords, there are some nuances that if you don't do it right, it could affect, number one, the chord. Number two is it could affect the way your mat looks, the skirt on the rebounder, etc. I'm going to go through all of that. So again, if you go off and you're going to pimp your ride, you're going to choose your colors. We think it's really, really cool, but how do you begin? So what I suggest is what I've done here. Put your rebounder on a soft surface. So I've taken, this is in our studio, and I've taken some mats and I've put it on the floor and I've kind of set up the rebounder on its legs like this. Just this ensures that your frame doesn't get damaged or anything like that. So some things I'm going to show you when you're changing these chords. There are probably 3 or 4 variations or 3 to 5 things that you've got to watch out for on the mat. Okay. Now when you do get a chord, I've got this beautiful little mauve purpley one over here. It's going to come with a knot in the end and a bracket. Okay, this is what we call a bracket. It's a little plastic cylinder. This little plastic cylinder, I'll show you where it gets inserted. Now this video is augmented by the 2 other videos that I did around how to change your bungee cord on your Deluxe. So take a look at those videos for more detailed instructions. But today I'm going to show you. So you're going to get this in the box. So let's say you've picked 2, 4, 6, 7 colors. All right? Weird. But what you could do though is pick 6. Remember, you've got 6 legs on your rebounder. So if you wanted to change the color on each 6, you could do it this way. Okay? So you could put a chord over there, a purple one, a blue one, a yellow one, a pink one, etc. Or if you want to do a few, no problem. Just don't remove your entire mat of your rebounder. It's unnecessary. Okay, so don't think I have to remove my entire mat. Even if you choose to do, if you've got a 42 bracket Deluxe, or like this one is, or you've got a 36 bracket Deluxe, which what I mean by that is 36 bungee cords or 42 bungee cords, don't take off your entire mat. Don't do that. It's not necessary. All you need to do is remove, so pick. So when you put your rebounder down, right, pick where you want to put the colors that you want to do. Either tag them, etc., and then lift your rebounder up like this, and then you can begin. All right. So what basics I'm going to show. So George, I'm going to ask you to come closer as we're recording this to show folks what it looks like, right? So on the rebounder here, you've got 3 types of positions for the chords. If you're going to change a chord on every leg, you've got to take note of the following. Usually a chord that's on a leg is separated by the leg. So you take a look at this chord. This bungee cord runs this way. This leg is sitting in between that bungee cord. Now, the way you undo this and the way you put it back, there's a particular way to do it. All right. And I'm going to show you, we're going to do this one over here because this one's loose. Then there's another bungee cord that you've got to watch out for. And this is the one that is woven through the loop that holds the skirt on the outside close down onto the bungee. Okay, so if you don't do this properly and you skip this, what will happen is your skirt will roll up. And we don't want to have that happen. We want to make sure that the skirt stays flat post-installation of your new bungee cord. Okay, and then obviously there's the normal one. So there's 3 types of chords here, or positions of chords. One is across a leg. One is inserted into that little woven through that little kind of holding aspect of the skirt, and then the normal one that sits in between them. Okay, so we're going to go through all of these right now. So the first thing that you need to understand, let's do the first one. This is going to be one that gets replaced on a leg. Now, when you're replacing a bungee cord on a leg, the first thing you need to do is remove that leg. So you're going to insert your little Allen key. Hopefully you still got your Allen key. You're going to twist it around. Now, I've already loosened this one. This is not normally as quick as this. So I've loosened that one. Make sure when you take that out, you still have your Allen key, you've got your screw, and you've got your washers, right? Put your leg down. You take your cord, right? Hold it in your mouth. Oh, I'm joking. That's not what you need to do. Just keep it close by. So I'm just going to weave it through there. Now here's the thing. So Georgia, if you take a look here, we've got the leg connector. Now notice a couple of things here. Number one, cords that run over legs are split by the leg. So the leg connector is sitting in between the cord, number one. Number two, normally you'll find this little rubber band that is over the leg that you may have not noticed before. You've got to be cognizant of that. Okay, so make sure it stays on because if you're putting the leg back, you don't want the skirt on the outside to fold back up again. All right, so just make sure if you want to take that off, that's okay, but make sure afterwards that you put it right back on like that, and then you put the leg on afterwards. So let's do step one, take the leg off. Step two is take this little band off, right? And then step three is the actual removing of the bungee cord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. It's very, very simple. You're literally just taking the bungee cord, moving it off and over like that, pulling it under, and then what you want to do is get one of the little knots on the cord. So let's untie one of those. You can actually just throw this away if you want. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because sometimes you'll discover this, we don't want you to do this, okay? So usually we want you to just kind of save your old cords, just in case. But if you can't untie this knot, sometimes it's tough, right? You can go ahead and cut this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this cord. Oh, it feels sacrilegious to do that. So there, cut it. And what I'm going to do is just take that out. So pull the cord out of there, and then pull the bracket out of the webbing, and boom. Now this, you can choose what you want to do with it. Please recycle it. It is plastic and rubber, so please try and recycle it. If not, hold on to it. Okay, so hold on to the cord. Now, if you've cut the knot, this cord is going to be way too short. Okay, you can try and reuse it. If you're, for whatever reason, the colorful cord gives you issues, you can put it back. But we do not suggest that you cut it with the expectation that you're going to put it back on again. Don't go put it back on again, because then this cord will be much tighter than the others, and that creates tension on the mat that you want to avoid. Okay, so I'm going to take this cord and I'm going to discard it. So that cord's off and away with the pair of scissors. Now, here we have your little brand new bungee cord, okay, with a bracket. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to insert this. Now notice, I'm not inserting it this way, right? Because the knots have to face inward towards the mat. So you'll know how to do this by simply doing that, turning it around and inserting it that way. So now your cord is in that way, okay? Now the very next step is you then weave it, this little cord through that little hole, and boom, you got that, and then you're going to make a knot, just like the other end has a knot. Okay. Now just watch out. Sometimes, we'll ship it to you and the knot will have too much play. Like, I don't like this knot. That knot has way too much play. So I'm actually going to just take it down a little bit so we don't have so much play. Okay. You don't want to have tight bungee cords. So make sure you have a max of like 1 centimeter, if that, protruding from the knot. So there you go. You got a bungee cord on now. So remember, I've done this with the one on the leg. So what I'm going to do, when I weave it back over, I'm going to step around to the other side of the rebounder. Georgia, just zoom out a little bit to show how I'm doing it by standing. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm holding the rebounder like that just to make sure that I'm comfortable. And then I pull it down. And very easy. Look, it's so simple. Now, what I'm ensuring is that the leg connector is between the two brackets for the leg. I'm going to pull this down. Do that. Okay. Watch my method that I'm employing. Just wait, my mic's going all the way down here. The method that I'm employing. And down and around. Okay. Now, if you don't know exactly how to do the installation that I just did there, in terms of, go look at the video where I explicitly explain how to install a knotted cord and replace your cord with the bracket. So notice, leg connector, splits the two in between. Okay, then the very next step, because it's a leg, you're going to bring this little plastic rubber little elastic band and you're going to wrap it around the leg, just to make sure that when you put the leg back, the skirt still sits flat. That's critical. If you take this away, what will happen with your rebounder skirt, it will start to twirl. So we're going to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, obviously next step after this, you put your leg back. Okay, that's the first type of cord that you find on a Deluxe mat. Now what I want to show you is the second type of cord. And this one sits kind of in between two legs. There are 6 of them. They sit in between the two legs, kind of in the middle. And the way you detect them is when they are woven into this loop that holds the mat close to your bungee cords. Now, if you miss this, the resultant is you'll replace the cord, but your mat will start shriveling up. So you don't want to have that happening, or it will start kind of weaving back up again. So the first thing you do is, just like we did with the other one, you're going to remove the cord, okay? And notice, when I remove the cord, you can see it's looped through that little loop over there. It's woven through the loop. Okay, let's go through this. Now, I am using a dated rebounder, which means I have to cut this off because sometimes the knots are just way too hard. And you can see there's some wearing on this knot anyway. So I'm going to cut that off. Again, I watch the process again. I've cut it off. We don't recommend that you cut it off because you probably want to use this as a spare, but like I'm doing it because it's a studio rebounder. I'm pulling out the cord. Okay, notice, bracket comes out. There we go. That's what you have in your hand, and you can discard it. Now, next step is, what do? Just like we did with the other one, you are going to place the bracket in there with the knot facing towards the mat. Now notice, this knot has way too much play. When I say play, it's just like, it only needs 1 centimeter, so I'm pulling the knot down a little bit, because we don't want to have our, there you go. Optimally, you've got 1 centimeter of protrusion at the end of the bungee cord. If it's too much, then you're going to get too much tension on your cord. Okay, so there, pulling it down there. And as soon as I've done that, I'm pushing it down and weaving it through the hole there, and I'm making a knot. Very simple. So there we go, making that knot. Okay, and again, making sure the knot doesn't have like a huge protrusion, because what does it do? It then results in a very stretched bungee cord. Okay, that's too short, way too short. Okay, so I want a little bit more. There we go. I'm satisfied with that. It's like 1 centimeter. Now, the first thing I do, knots are pointing towards the mat. Bracket is in to the loop over there. First thing I do now, I'm going to take that and I'm going to weave it through that loop that holds the skirt down. And then I'm going to put it on. Notice I'm going to come around. Again, how do you install this? You lift it up, get some tension, you pull it down, not too far, you don't have to do that. And then in between the 2 bungee cords, you're reaching in there, and then you let go, and again, let me just do that, you let go. So just make sure it's behind the knot. Then what you do, you reach the other side, you do exactly the same. Make sure that the bungee cord is sitting behind the knots. Okay, look at that, sitting behind, look at the other one, sitting behind the knots. Now sometimes you'll see, take a look at this. I'm discovering that this bungee cord is twirled. Look at that, I'm going to put a twirl in it. See that twirl in there? Let's avoid the twirl. Okay, so you don't want that twirl in there. What you want to do is just kind of move it, pull it towards you until it's back even again, and it's looking good. And then you're pulling it apart just a little bit. Okay, making sure that it's sitting right, pulled apart, and you're good to go. See that cord's coming around. Notice that cord was flicking around the knot, it was sitting like that. See, sitting there, it's not right. It's got to go right around the bracket. Okay, there you go. Now it's in. Again, watch the protrusion, make sure there's enough, not too little, and it's not too long. Okay, so that's in. So one went over the leg. I showed you how you split it between the leg connector. So when you put it back on, make sure the little rubber band that comes from the mat goes back onto the leg connector, and then you put the leg back on. This one, it's about putting it back, but ensuring that the loop that it's in, it's looped back into that loop, back around, and you've adjusted it. That means you now have the elements that keep your mat flat on your bungee cords still there. Okay. Now, the next one is the obvious one. And that's just a normal bracket that you don't have to worry about anything. It doesn't have to get woven through something. It's not being split by 2. You're just literally taking that off and following the exact same procedure. So that's Pimp My Ride. So suggestion. Number 1, when you get your Pimp My Ride cords, or when you're considering your Pimp My Ride cords, minimum start off with a pack of 6. Okay? Choose colors that are going to be placed over each one of the legs. Alternatively, choose 12. So you have 1 over every leg, and then 1 in the middle. And that's 6 plus 6, that's 12. And so on and on you go in terms of just getting, or you just want one side to be one color, or you choose every second one should be that. That's okay. Just remember, count the amount of brackets that you have on your rebounder. Do you have 42 bungee cords or do you have 36? And then make your choice symmetrically related to that. But split it in probably sixes. So 6, 12, 18, etc. Okay. And then start making sure that you're not removing the entire mat. So even if you buy 42 of them or 36 of them, you want to do an entire mat, that's okay. Okay, go ahead and pump your ride, but then do it step by step, going around and around the rebounder, changing every single one of the cords independently. No need to take off the entire mat, put it on, and then put the whole mat back on. That's not the best practice. It's quite tough getting a Deluxe mat back on because there's a particular way to do it. There are videos where I'm showing it, but you want to avoid that. You want to make it as easy as possible. Okay, enjoy your Pump Your Ride. Enjoy personalizing your rebounder. It's fun to have a bungee rebounder. You can do so much with it. And these cords, we've checked in our studio right now. We've had a rebounder that the instructors have been using, bouncing up and down with it. So we're very happy with the quality of these cords. They're colorful, they're nice, they make you feel better about your piece of equipment that you're utilizing during your rebounding journey. And again, just remember, there are 3 types of installations. One over the leg, where it's split. One in the middle, where it's woven through and holding onto the skirt. And then just one in between those. That's a normal one that has no nuances to it. Enjoy, have fun. Pumping your rides, pumping your bounces.